Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. One of the questions that I've been asked the most over the course of the past month is, Zach, when is Verdansk coming back? How long until we can play on Verdansk again? Either because the game just is so broken on Caldera with all the bugs and glitches that we have going on, or some people just aren't a fan of Caldera. Perfectly acceptable. Some people like it, some people don't. At the end of the day, there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to Verdansk and if that'll ever be a part of Warzone yet again, because while it was, relatively untouched for the near 2 years that we had it in the game, it also, at least as of right now, seems to be the more favorable era of Warzone because the game actually functioned there. Let's be real here. But today I wanted to talk about the possibility of Verdansk coming back, what Call of Duty has actually said about it, and how it could potentially work if it were to happen. So as we go over everything today, if you enjoyed the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. Really does help grow the channel. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, just around 58% of viewers watching are not subscribed yet. And each and every single day, I am always covering everything going on in COD, whether it be news, updates, leaks, loadouts, tips. I got it all right here. So feel free to subscribe. That way you can always stay up to date. Now, to preface everything, just so it's right out there right away, Call of Duty has never said that Verdansk is going to come back. In fact, it's quite the opposite in quite a few ways. Based off of everything that we had going into Caldera, it certainly seemed like that was going to be the complete end of Verdansk, with the exception of one very specific statement in a certain Call of Duty blog. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But yeah, leading up to Caldera, they were basically previewing this as the end of Warzone as we know it before we moved on into Warzone Pacific, which is entirely based around the Caldera and the Pacific and the Vanguard update, right? So going into it, we didn't really have much hope for Verdansk living on past the whole last hours of Verdansk event. However, all that said, one very specific sentence, like I said, leaves things up to interpretation, if you will. So on a Call of Duty blog a while back talking about Operation Flashback, actually, they were sort of previewing the end of Verdansk in general in the last couple of days. They talked about all three of the last hours of Verdansk events that we had. And when it comes down to the very, very end part, they were talking about the actual last hours of Verdansk LTM that we had in the final days just before Caldera ended up launching. And here's what they say. We have yet to get declassified information on this Beanox developed event. Obviously, that's not relevant anymore, but the next part is, except for this, a spectacular and fitting end to your time in Verdansk as we say farewell to the Castovian city forever, with a question mark. So that last sentence there, as we say farewell to the Castovian city forever, so they're definitely implying that, is this actually the end? And if I've learned anything in my years of covering Call of Duty news and breaking down basically every little thing they put out like this, they're very, very direct with what they do. Everything that they say, everything that they preview and promote is done with complete intention, right? So them leaving this up for interpretation here, them sort of implying, is this really the end? Is it a momentary or a temporary end to Verdansk? Potentially. That to me sort of indicates that perhaps Verdansk could come back at some point in time. Now, before we all get too excited, personally, and keep in mind this is just my general opinion, I don't think this will happen anytime soon for a couple of reasons, but I also don't think the return of Verdansk is impossible. We'll get to that in just a moment here. But first and foremost, obviously, Caldera is their main focus. This is the brand new map. This is the new big draw for Warzone, regardless of if you enjoy the map or not. They have put all their eggs in Caldera and Warzone Pacific for the time being. That's the basket that they are focusing on, so to speak. And we know that this map is going to receive updates and changes over the course of time. We know for a fact there's going to be several Easter eggs revolving around the Pacific map and Caldera and whatnot here. So this map is going to have its own secrets and its own storyline that are going to evolve throughout the next couple of seasons. Hence why I don't think we're going to see any major changes to Verdansk's implementation in Warzone or integration in Warzone at all for several months and for several seasons, really, when it comes down to it. I fully believe we're going to have Caldera and Rebirth. Who knows, maybe even a alternative to Rebirth at some point in time. But as far as the Verdansk return goes, I don't think that'll happen in the near future at all. That is extremely, extremely unlikely. So I want to definitely emphasize, if this were to happen, it will not be in the near future unless something drastically goes wrong with Caldera and it becomes game breaking. And, you know, for 2 weeks they have to bring us back to Verdansk because that's the more stable version of the game or whatever. I just don't realistically see it happening anytime soon, because that just doesn't make sense from a business model, and we all know Activision is business first. But let's look at the future. Obviously, after Vanguard, we're gonna have a new Infinity Ward title, and it would not make sense for it to be anything but a sequel to MW 2019. And all the leaks and all the rumors and everything that we've talked about regarding Call of Duty 2022 up until this point towards it being Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 2022. And that sort of brings us back to this origin story of where Warzone began. Obviously, with MW 2019, we had all the intel, which gave us the backstory of Verdansk and the Kastovia region and what went on there to create Warzone, right? And it sort of ended on that cliffhanger with them going to see Soap, and we never really got an official introduction to Soap outside of the store bundle, right? So that was kind of a letdown. But we saw modern day Verdansk destroyed in the whole nuke event. However, we did not see the Cold War version of Verdansk actually destroyed. If you call back to the whole last hours of Verdansk event, we saw all the planes coming in. Yeah, they were sort of attacking the Verdansk area, right? But you go into that bunker, you capture everything, the game ends, you get the final victors of Verdansk or whatever. And then it shows a cutscene just sort of as an overview of Verdansk. We don't see nukes dropping and buildings crumbling and structures just falling apart. We just see almost kind of a peaceful Verdansk, which is a complete 180 of what the actual gameplay was in the last hours of Verdansk, right? But it's very important to note, we did not see Verdansk destroyed. And much so like in movies, if you don't see a character die on screen, are they really dead? If we don't see the map completely destroyed, is it really destroyed? So if anything, the way I could see this playing out, and keep in mind, again, this is just me speculating and theorizing, is that as we approach the time in which they're trying to promote Call of Duty 2022, MW 2022, perhaps we start to see Verdansk sort of teased in various ways, whether that's through some storyline stuff, whether that's through a different thing on Caldera itself, however they end up doing it, perhaps then as a sort of promotion for MW 2022 or MW2, whatever you want to call it, they sort of start to show that Verdansk maybe isn't gone after all. And then as we approach seasons 5, season 6, the end of the whole Vanguard era, we actually see them take an Apex route. That's how I would imagine they go about things. And they let us play on both Verdansk and Caldera. Now, I also want to say, regardless of how they could potentially reintroduce Verdansk, I don't think Caldera will ever be removed from the game in the near future either. I think if Verdansk would actually come back to the game, it'd be in an Apex-like scenario where we can either join a Verdansk playlist or a Caldera playlist, or the maps simply rotate. For 2 weeks, we have Verdansk. For 2 weeks, we have Caldera. Obviously, Rebirth and whatever else will be in the background there, but I don't think we'll ever have just one map here if Verdansk ever were to come back. And that's a big if, you got to keep in mind, because they simply leave it open to question, right? With that statement from earlier, say farewell to the Kastovian city forever? Question mark. So it's definitely not a set in stone thing. It's definitely not a confirmed or a guaranteed thing, but it is not impossible. And from a business standpoint, Verdansk has a lot of hype, and even bringing it back temporarily to promote MW 2022, I feel like is a very real possibility. So obviously, this is something that's going to evolve over the course of a long-term time. Definitely, again, not something I see happening in season 2, season 3. Maybe end of season 4 would be like the earliest I could ever really realistically see this happening. But yeah, hopefully that answers some questions here. Verdansk, despite being sort of promoted as the end of the map once we were heading into the Vanguard era in the Pacific update, they definitely did leave it open for interpretation and sort of implying that it might not actually be gone forever. But if it's not gone forever, it probably won't be returning anytime soon, because their full promotion is on Caldera, is on Vanguard in the current state of Pacific. So hopefully that clears things up. Again, that's going to wrap things up for today, though. If you guys enjoyed the video, or if you want to see Verdansk return here in Warzone, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, or if you have not already subscribed, feel free to do so. Click that sub button, tap that bell icon. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date with everything going on in Call of Duty, between news, updates, loadouts, tips. It's all right here each and every single day. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code WhosImmortal for a discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. The links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.